All right, so this evening session is obviously our NSS to discuss your part that is due on the 14th of September. So I know it's a little bit earlier than what we normally do. I normally try to do it, a week or so before. But just in terms of our timing, if we didn't do it tonight, it would mean that it would be way too close to submission. And I know a lot of you guys like working on your assessments or your assignments early just because of deadlines and what have you. So I just rather would deal with it now so that if you have any questions or need to try get stuff done when you have breaks and what have you, you've got the information available to you guys. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Before we even get into the content and what is expected of you in terms of the theory, we first obviously do need to speak to referencing. All right. So what's really important is to remember that I do have the discrepancy of minusing up to -10% for poor referencing. That doesn't mean no referencing. If you don't have referencing within your essay, that means you are going to get called in for plagiarism issues. It's going to be problematic for you. What that means is that up to -10% is that I can see that you have attempted to reference, but you have still got major issues and that you haven't been paying close attention to the module outline in terms of the full reference at the end or in-text referencing. So it's really important to make sure that your referencing is on point. So just for you guys to know, because this module, the prescribed material for this module is slightly different, is that you will refer to the different textbooks. So PM1 and PM2 are both written by Edge Education. So when you're referring to them, you can refer to them as Edge. So some people have a 2018 publication, some of them have a 29 publication. You just need to have a look at the front of your book to see what it is. So you don't go and credit all the editors in this particular case. Edge basically does a blanket situation where they take ownership of all the material within the books. So you refer to it as Edge, or you would refer to it as Edge Learning or Edge Education, or you would refer to it, if you have already done so, you can do it by the authors, though. So you'll find the author list at the beginning of the textbook, but you don't have to refer to the writers, because you don't actually know which chapters are written by which person and what have you. The only reason why I do know this information is because I am one of the authors in both of the books. So that's how we were told the academic side of it was going to work. Okay, so if you've already started working on it and you've done it where you've done Dancer et al. And what have you, that is absolutely fine. Please don't panic and go and change it. But if you haven't done it, you don't have to go through the effort of writing out all the different authors' names. You can just refer to it by Edge. So most books you will have two different publication dates. So I think PM1 has, I'm going to just pull up the MO now, just so that I can show you exactly what I mean. So one has got, I think it's 2018, one's 2019. Some people do have 2020s if they've been reprints, but most people I think are still working on the, here we go, are working with the original publications. So if you have a look here in your module resource, okay, so they are doing the prescribed material. They're saying there's a 2020 reprint. So if yours is a 2020 print, then you will go, for example, for those who have Edge, both books being 2020, you would have Edge a 2019, okay? Or if you have 2020, then you'll refer to it like that. So it would be Edge A and Edge B. If you have two books with two different dates, then put those. Okay, it's really doesn't, I don't want to say it doesn't matter. That's the wrong choice of words. What I'm saying is that if you've got two different publication dates in your books, then you don't have to go and say A and B. You only need to do that if your publication dates are the same, so that you can distinguish if you're taking information from the first book, or if you're taking or PM1, or if you're taking information from PM2. Does that make sense to everyone? Or do you want me to repeat that? Just so I know where everyone stands. Okay. All right. Now, guys, the other thing I want to just stipulate is that if you are referencing, well, not if you are referencing, you will all reference. If you are using a reference multiple times within a paragraph, please do not just wait till the end of the paragraph to reference, okay? You need to reference throughout that paragraph. So, for example, if you're using, let's just say Edge 2020, if you use that book for a new thought and concept 3, 4, 5 times within a paragraph, every time you're drawing information from that book, you have to reference it. So even, for example, like with you guys dealing with apartheid, yes, you will know that apartheid means separateness, and you know the basic foundations of apartheid, but you only know that because you learnt it from somewhere. So while you might not be able to refer back to the original place that you learnt it, you need to find an academic source to support what you are saying. So if you're explaining the basic principle of apartheid, you need to find a source to reference and explain and show that knowledge that you've gained. So you need to every single time reference it, a reference. So if that means every third sentence has a reference, do it. If it means every second sentence has a reference, do it. Because if you only reference at the end of a paragraph, you're actually saying only that last sentence, which that referencing is next to, you're saying only that piece of information has been referenced. Or other people look at it and say, well, it means that the entire paragraph is paraphrased. Neither of those are good, because it means that you're saying that not a single bit of information or thought is your own, or you are saying that, I haven't actually referenced all the material, and then either way, I can take off the 5 or 10%. Okay. Also, in this particular instance, in this particular essay that you guys are going to be doing, every single paragraph that you write should have referencing in it and must have referencing in it. If it doesn't, it means you have done something wrong. Okay, so please read through your essays, look what you have written, and make sure that you have actually referenced every single point and every single bit of information that is that you've presented, because there's nothing worse than an OT, getting the work, getting into it, and someone writes a really great essay, but then we have to minus 10% purely because this person has gone and not put any reference or barely any referencing. So please be careful with that. I cannot stress that enough. All right. Any question with regards to referencing before I move on to the actual content of the essay? Just so I know how everyone is. Cool. Erin's good. How about the rest of you? Everyone's good. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Just remember, guys, if you are unsure of anything with referencing, you can get hold of the library and all that, and they will help you with your referencing and everything. So just remember, there are things available to you guys to help you through. So you're not alone in anything. Okay, there is support with absolutely everything within VC. Okay. So if you are unsure, just log a ticket or get hold of the library and they will help you with whatever you need. Okay. So let's have a look at this essay. And I say essay because it is thankfully one essay, and the essay just consists of multiple parts, and it means that, you know, you're not answering many different questions. There's one big question and incorporates the history of South African journalism, journalism and new media in SA Today, and ethics, representation, and debates in journalism. Okay, so you have got a word limit. So just to put it into perspective, this is an academic essay, and it's 1,600 to 1,800 words. Okay, so let me just go through the context first, and so you can understand where we're going from that. So it says the purpose of journalism is to provide citizens with the information they need to make the best possible decisions about their lives, their communities, their societies, and their governments. So journalism and the media are ever present. With a global reach and the ability to filter into every aspect of our lives, it is imperative to examine the past, to see the media's value today, as well as identify the implications that arise when people and publications act in an unethical manner. So you're going to write an academic essay of 1,600 to 1,800 words, in which and we're going to go through these points now. Before I do, I just want to say I do generally give a 10% leeway. So if you go to 2,000 words, I will not penalize you, purely because most people that are hitting that 1,800, 1,900 is because of a lot of in-text referencing, because they have, you know, found tons of additional sources and stuff. So personally, I don't mind giving you about a 10% leeway. So, you know, 180, 200 words max. But if you go over 2,000 words, you will start to get penalized. So please just be cautious. Those word counts are there to help you guys in terms of making sure you don't spend 40 hours on one essay, and they are there also for us so that we're not reading long-winded essays that don't have a point. Okay, so I can give you that leeway, but I can't give you more than that. All right, so what we're going to do is look at each of the points that you need to cover. I just recommend zooming in on your side so that you can see up close. So before I go actually into these points, I just want to say, in terms of structuring, we have to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. All right. In that introduction, it should be divided into two aspects in one paragraph, but two aspects that should be present. The first is that you should always have a general statement, so something that opens up the essay, so something about, you know, media being ever present, but to understand our present, we must look to our past, something that just gives a little bit of context without outright telling me what the essay is about. Then what you do after that is you write what we call a thesis statement, where you state what the essay will be about. So in this instance, the following essay will discuss X, Y, and Z, or the following essay will discuss this, and specific attention will be placed on this, this, and this. All right. The idea here is that you are putting it into context, telling me what you're going to be covering, and what I, as the OT, do is when I'm looking at your submission, I look to see if what you said you were going to do is what you have actually done. So we do look at your intro and your conclusion and check that everything is actually lining up and making sense. Okay. Then we'll have our body, which will have our multiple paragraphs with all the information that we're going to go through now. And then you will have your conclusion, which has no new points of information and just sums up what you have spoken about in your essay. Okay. Again, each of these elements are important. It's really important to just make sure that you are thinking clearly and that you are looking at everything from a logical perspective. Okay. And your intro and your conclusion should reflect that logic and that and show me the understanding you have of the essay and the content that we've asked for. All right. Okay, so let me explain to you guys what is needed for this essay. So you will see here we've got 3 main points, and then the second to last point speaks to stuff that is needed in each of these. Okay, so let's have a look. So I just want to get a line just to highlight the important bits. All right, there we go. So the first thing that you are going to be doing is you are going to, your Bloom's taxonomy word here is describe. So when you're describing something, you are giving the details of it. You're painting a picture for me. Think of it like that. So you're going to describe the journalism industry during the apartheid era, including the laws and restrictions placed on the journalists and publications during this time. And then you're also looking at how journalism was used to fight for democracy and freedom of the press. All right. So this particular point in this essay is looking at you giving me context in terms of the journalism or media industry during the apartheid era. So what your essay should be doing is speaking to specific laws, restrictions, anything that was in place during that time that actually impeded journalists or the media in reporting truthfully, accurately, and so on. So what your essay should be doing here is highlighting the, like it says here, the laws and the regulations put in place to deliberately limit the media and painting a truthful and fair and accurate representation of South Africa during the apartheid era. So if you are careful and make sure that you find the right pieces of information, it is actually a very simple part of the essay. But what's important here is to look at firstly what the government did to control us, but then also what the journalism industry did to fight against apartheid. Because the reality is that during that time, we know that the media was used as a tool to go against the apartheid regime. Okay. Any questions on that specific point for the essay? Or does that make sense? Sorry, I'm going to ask you guys that a lot because I just don't want anyone to feel like they're not quite sure what they should be doing. Okay. Rest of you, does that point make sense? Cool. All right. Please remember, guys, I know that I'm going through this now, And like I said, I know it is a while away till the assignment is due, but those 2 weeks are going to creep up on us. We know that. It always happens. But also, if you are maybe not in the right headspace tonight, and when you get to it later on and you thinking of you working on it, and you suddenly think of something and go, oh, I should have asked this. I'm not going to just ignore you guys now and not give you help and support. I'm obviously doing this tonight, but if you are working on this in 10 days time or whenever, and there's something that you're really battling with or something you just need a bit more clarity on, please feel free to message me and ask questions, because I'm happy to help and give you guidance throughout the process. Okay, so I am here as much as you need me. All right, please, if I reply with a very short, like just a yep or a yes, or yes you can do that, or anything like that, please just know it's probably because I'm in the middle of lectures, because I do lecture on campus. And if I'm replying shortly, like with a short message, it is because I am in class and we get a quick 10-minute break. I will reply quickly to just make sure you get that information as fast as possible, because I know that some people are working on different time schedules and everything. So please know it's never me being rude. It's that I'm just trying to get an answer to you as quickly as I physically can. Okay. So just know that it's not coming from I'm being rude. It's coming from I know you need that information from me now. Okay. All right. Let's look at the next point. Okay. So if we have a look here, the next one is, so once you've described all this stuff, you then are going to discuss the role of journalists in media and society post-apartheid, and how this role is shifting and changing with the increased use of new media for information gathering. Okay, so what we're looking at here is, in particular, what you need to highlight is the fact that post-apartheid was all about freedom of the press, that we as a media never want to be silenced ever again. So everything that is done within the SABC, even within our publications, everything was always done with the idea that the press needs to be free, and there can't be limitations and restrictions on the media, because the moment we do that, then we no longer have free, fair, and truthful information going out to the public. So what's important here in this particular question is for you to highlight the role of journalists, so that they are meant to hold us accountable, hold society accountable, politicians, public figures, whoever it is, they're meant to hold them accountable, so that the issues of the past cannot be repeated. So for this particular question, you're going to for this particular point, you're going to first focus on that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to speak to how this is done in a changing landscape with social media and what have you, and how people within media are having to shift and change their approach to make sure that they are staying relevant within this ever-changing and fast-paced world that we are living. So so that they are still making sure that information is going out to the public, but in such a way that they're able to compete with other publications and other people who are reporting what's going on in the world around us. Okay, so the second point is looking at the shift. It's looking at how our media environment has shifted post-apartheid and to today, where we as society are very critical and, you know, scathing when it comes to the media. What is important, guys, is you don't only need to look at the positive, you can look at negatives as well. So you can talk about how there is, you know, certain redundancy with the media because we find out information from one another so quickly. How we question the validity of the media because of X, Y, and Z. So don't feel that you have to talk only to positive because, as we're all aware, there is still there is obviously a lot of negative around the media as well. And there's no point showing only the positive when that is not a truthful reflection of our media industry and of our society as a whole. Okay. All right. Then the last big point that you're going to be covering, you are going to actually, before I do that, any questions with the role of journalists? Let me check that first. No questions? Okay, cool. Moment you guys have questions, please ask because I am here to answer them. All right. So the last one, again, another description. So it's another painting of a picture. So you're going to describe the ethical dilemmas, so the ethical problems, as well as the implications which have arisen due to society's use and reliance on new media over traditional media. So what you'll see here is this point flows nicely to this next one because obviously they are interlinked because this one's looking at new media and so is this. So when we're looking at this question, obviously again we're looking at more of the negatives that arise because of our reliance on social media and digital media. Remember, when we talk about new media, we're looking at social media, websites, blogs, everything. Okay, so you just make sure that you're not only looking at social media, but you know you can look at how we are so critical of the media, the problems that arise because of fake news, for example. So you can bring in all that kind of stuff where you're talking about the negatives and the problems that have arisen due to our reliance and our use of digital media over everything else. Okay. Does that last point make sense to you guys? I think that one's probably going to make the most sense to everyone because that's like become common knowledge for us. So let me know if that makes sense. And then, sorry, I keep asking, but I don't want anyone to feel left behind. I don't want someone to go, I don't get it. And I'm not giving you an opportunity to tell me you don't get it. Okay. I'm always paranoid that people are too scared to ask. All right. Okay. So now, what's important, guys, is that these 3 points speak to the theory. And theory is obviously, oh, good. Okay. Theory is obviously super important. Without theory, we wouldn't have academics. But theory is also not the be all and end all. What is also really, really important is you guys giving examples. So whenever you are speaking to anything within this essay, so whether it be the apartheid regime, whether it be you know, the ethics or the change in whatever, you have to speak to these topics first from a theoretical perspective, then from a practical perspective. So everything needs academic support, not academic support, um, practical support through the use of examples. So please make sure the whole time that if you present some piece of information, that once you presented that piece of information, that you then go and give me an example to support what you have said. Because that way it shows me that you have a clear understanding of the essay topic and what is expected. So if you keep giving me examples, showing me your understanding, it means you're going to get a good mark at the end of the day. And obviously that is the goal, is for everyone to get a good mark and to do well. So I can, if you present sufficient information, then I will be able to obviously see your understanding and give you those marks. Okay. I should never be filling in the blanks. So like a lot of students will put etc. If you are putting etc. there, it means you're asking your lecturer or your OT to fill in the blanks, and that is not our jobs. So I should never be left with more questions than answers. All right. So if you are thinking, I wonder if she knows what I mean, or you think, oh, well, she'll know this, she can fill it in the blank. No, I'm not giving you marks for my knowledge. Okay. I've got my degrees and my honors and my everything. So I'm not giving you marks for the work I've done. I'm giving you marks for the work you have done. And I know this sounds pathetic and petty, but it's so true. I've even had students say to me, oh, but you know what I mean. I'm going, yes, but my lecturers didn't fill in for me. So same goes for you guys. All right. You have brains. I know they're tired, but you got to use them sometimes to show us that, you can do it. All right. So please just make sure that you do ensure that you have your theory, your application, your referencing, nice paragraphs, structure, all that kind of thing. Because if you do all that, and if you think about what you're writing and you plan it well, chances are you will get a good mark for the essay. It's not a difficult essay. It is just a lot of research, finding information, and presenting a well thought out argument. Okay. Any questions in general, guys? Because now is the time to ask. Nope. And please use the rubric when you're writing. The rubric has got information to help you make sure that what you are writing is going to actually give you marks. So it doesn't give you the answer, but it does kind of give you a little bit of guidance. And that's what I'm going to be using to marks. So make sure that you do actually go and have a look over the rubric. Any questions at all? But obviously, like I said, if you think of questions later on, you're welcome to say, help. Nothing from you guys? Okay. Then that's it for the collab tonight, guys. Thank you all for coming on. I hope this has helped you with a little bit of clarity for the part. And when you have questions, send me a message and I will hopefully give you an answer as quickly as possible. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, guys. Have a great evening and I'll chat to you guys soon. Bye.